أنا محطوط وحتى مش حاطين لوحده، ممكن بطلع زي بقالات لا والله على مش حاطين How are you? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
That's a good
So can you next week
Yeah, I know. Came in good time. Great nostalgic.
شو بعيد ربع ساعة
ضلينا مترددين لهلا هلا بنجي بس
أحلى معه أنا بديش لزقت ولا بالشيء وين راحت؟
بقول لك انا بدي شيء هو كل مسألة بيجي محل عباد اسمها الفلسطينية
المسؤول على
هل يعقل دستور يجوز الوضع في شهر مدن وتحصل نتيجة على بصراحة مش معقول دستور الوضع لازم يكون لكم دور فبنتك لما تقول هي من التنفيذية معاها مش بس رقابة هي في رقابة مش انه علاقة في رقابة متينة كثير من دول
انا دول جيت كده انا جيت يوم الغد يوم الغد يوم
how you
program so that we'll have it taken care of.
I'm very proud. I'm very proud of her.
Well, I'm glad you're here with us this evening. Enjoy.
Thank
I got many different documentaries.
I was following the example. They're asking about maybe difficult.
خلصني
You know, because many people are unemployed.
and they are less against peace.
No, they have to be.
But they are considered to be more for peace than the most of the country, the right-wing party. Because the leader, the spiritual leader, Galia Golan, is for peace. He says life is more important than peace. That's all he says. I mean, all your life. I think he will follow the footsteps of Mr. Peres and my late husband. Definitely. We will have a better time because now people are
Dann Umwelt, das ist auch eine Expertise von der Schweiz und komischerweise vor allem für Flüchtlingsprobleme. Das ist ganz komisch. Und deswegen auch so
Do it in the Orient.
سلام. צעד קדימה כולם ביחד? לא, 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 לא.
ليش اجى بالنص؟
Every choice.
لا 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 سليخان
بس لكم
نبيل؟ نبيل؟ وينك؟
مستشار
He couldn't remember. He said that you had a better note. Did you know?
Thank you for coming.
It's right this way.
حلوه الصوره بتقول لي رجاء اختار Stanley Sheinbaum.
Very nice meeting you. Very nice. Thank you.
The laureate of the Prize of Peace today, and a very dear friend.
وعنده فكرة تفضلوا انتم مع بعضكم فكروا انه احنا بدنا نعمل شيء وتعالوا مع بعض كل واحد فيكم خلص هالجامعة ووصفا تيجي بادرة شيء روح عمل تحط اعلان عشان بدي تطوع تستنى ما حدا بيجي
Our cup runneth over. Please squeeze in as best you can. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, and dear friends. My name is Sherry Roche, and I'm on the board of directors of the Gleitsman Foundation. Welcome to the presentation of the 1999 International Activist Award. I wanted to tell you just briefly in a couple of sentences about the foundation. It encourages individual commitment and leadership by recognizing the exceptional achievement of those who have initiated positive social change. Founded in 1989 and based in Los Angeles, the foundation is a nonprofit organization that promotes social activism through a series of awards, international, domestic, and student. The International Activist Award is designed to honor activist achievement throughout the world, and this year focused on the Middle East. Serving on its board of judges are physicist and human rights activist Fang Lejeu, former United Nations Secretary General Javier Perez de Cuellar, and Nobel Peace Prize winners Shimon Peres, Mayreed McGuire, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and Adolfo Perez Esquivel. That's fine. Thank you very much. That's fine. Thank you. Some of the previous honorees for the International Activist Award include Chinese democracy advocate Wei Jingsheng and then African National Congress President Nelson Mandela, East Timor independence activist and future Nobel laureate José Ramos Horta, and prominent Nazi hunters Beata and Serge Klarsfeld. Also, Argentinian founder of the Madres de Plaza de Mayo, Maria Adela Anticoletz, and Bangladeshi lender to the poor, Mohammed Yunus. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the founder of the Gleitsman Foundation, Alan Gleitsman.
Thank you all for coming. It's really wonderful to be here this evening as we celebrate the vision and applaud the courage and the persistence of some truly extraordinary activists. For decades, they've struggled to overcome the hatred that has too long consumed this part of the world. We all recognize that the battle has not yet been won, but we also know that we would not have reached this point were it not for the efforts of the men and women in this room. When we decided to focus the attention of our 1999 International Award on those that have struggled for reconciliation in the Middle East, we quickly determined that we could not have only 10 honorees as we normally do. We thought perhaps 10 would be a better number, but even that was not easy. As you know better than I, the battle for peace is built upon the efforts of hundreds of extraordinary activists, and I'm very glad to say that in addition to our honorees, many of those activists are in this room this evening. 10 years ago, the Gleitsman Foundation was created in the belief that when we are confronted by social injustice, each of us must personally join in the struggle if we are ever to achieve the world to which we all aspire. We hope that by recognizing the achievements of people like those here this evening and the qualities of courage and tenacity that enable us to succeed, others will realize that they too can make a difference. I was personally inspired by a speech by Robert Kennedy in South Africa 33 years ago, and I'd like to share a few of his words with you as they are really the very essence of our philosophy. Robert Kennedy said, "Few will have the greatness to bend history itself, but each of us can work to change a small portion of events, and in the total of those acts will be written the history of this generation." We believe that the activists here this evening are writing the history of this generation, and we are honored to recognize their efforts. We're proud to present the 1999 Gleitsman Foundation International Activist Award to to some truly extraordinary people. Abu Mazen, long convinced of the importance of negotiations, signed the Oslo Accords on the White House lawn, and as Secretary General of the PLO Executive Committee, continues to lead ongoing peace efforts. Yossi Beilin, known as the father and the navigator of Oslo, more than any other leader of his generation in Israeli politics, has taken the lead in initiating action and shifting public opinion toward the desirability of securing peace with the Palestinians. Bassem Eid, based upon his experience as a senior researcher for B'Tselem, Israel's human rights organization, he founded the Palestinian Human Rights Monitoring Group, observing the comparable record of the Palestinian Authority. Yitzhak Frankenthal, an Orthodox Jew, after the murder and abduction of his soldier son by Hamas terrorists, dedicated his life and his energies toward peace with the Palestinians by first joining Netavot Shalom and now heading Parent Circle. Galia Golan, an early leader of Shalom Ashev, a university professor at Hebrew University here, despite 2 bouts of cancer, has continued to be an outspoken peace activist of coalitions of very diverse people and a leader of the women's peace movements in Israel. Faisal Husseini, a longtime resident of Jerusalem, has forged important links with Israeli peace activists and is one of the leading Palestinian voices here in the West Bank. And he functions today as Minister of Jerusalem Affairs for the Palestinian Authority. Terje Larsen and Mona Juul, the husband and wife team that were the essential ingredients, the pivotal role in the secret Israeli-Palestinian negotiations that led to the 1993 Oslo Agreement. Larsen for his role in initiating the framework, and Juul for hers responsibility in the day-to-day conducting of negotiations. Both of them for the essential Oslo spirit. Abu Allah, one of the earliest peace activists among the Palestinian people, continued his special role as the chief Palestinian negotiator of the Oslo Accords, and today serves as Speaker of the Palestinian Legislative Council. Uri Savir was entrusted to lead the Israeli team in Oslo, signifying the first official Israeli negotiations with the PLO. His guiding hand and the establishment of personal trust with the Palestinians helped to rejuvenate the prospects for peace. Stanley Sheinbaum, private American citizen, organizer of the historic meeting in which the PLO expressed its willingness to abandon armed struggle and to recognize Israel, continues his behind-the-scenes secret peace initiatives. We are truly forever indebted to you for what you have done, and we encourage you to redouble your efforts at this very, very crucial time when you are now so close to your long-sought goal. And at this point, I'd like to ask Sherry Roche to join me as we present the individual awards and to hear a few words from our honorees when they come to accept their award. Sherry? First of all, I'm sorry to say that Abu Mazen is unable to join us this evening. I'm sure many of you are aware that he recently had surgery, although Sherry and I will be going to Ramallah tomorrow to meet with him there, he has asked his son Yasser Mohamed Abbas to come here this evening and to accept the award on his behalf. Please. My honor to present this award to you in honor of the work of your father.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let me step aside for you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Gleitsman. I stand here before you, distinguished audience, on behalf of my father, who is not able to be here with us today due to circumstances beyond his control. My father asked me to convey to you his sincerest appreciations and respect. And he would like to assure you that he values this Peace Prize so highly and considers it as a medal pinned very close to his heart, because it very much symbolizes the cause of peace. Peace, to my father, is an honorable target that requires lots of sacrifices in order that our people can enjoy peace and tranquility in our lands. Recently, a long time was wasted and many efforts were lost that did not lead us to our goal. This is why we are pinning our hopes to the future, so that the Israelis and Palestinians do enjoy just and lasting peace. From this premise, my father believes that the grandest prize of all, which will be won by all the peace lovers and makers, is when our two peoples can look to a bright future for our children and the future generations to come. My father strongly believes that we all have to fight the enemies of peace on both sides, because they are still living in the past, but we believe in the future. Indeed, we are the future. On behalf of my father, our family, and all the Palestinian people, please accept our sincerest gratitude for this honor you bestowed to him today. Thank you.
And may I ask Yossi Beilin, please, to come forward. Present this award, also a little check that we have here that goes with it. I might mention to you, with regard to the sculpture that you see, this was created by Maya Lin, who created the Vietnam War Memorial. And when I approached her to ask that she design an award for us, she of course asked what the purpose of the award was, and I told her. And it was her feeling that some people saw things more clearly. As she put it, saw things as if they were magnified. And she tried to embody that idea in the sculpture that you see here, which shows the magnification.
Thank you, Mr. Gleitsman, Ms. Rabin, Mr. Peres, Speaker Abu Allah, my good friend. I see here so many known faces to me, so many close friends. It seems to me like a family reunion. And thinking about what happened to us in the last years, I think that just standing here and watching you is enough to understand what kind of small revolution happened in these years because of all these people who are around, because of one person who was killed, because of this very important target as a soldier of peace, and because of others who helped us during this way. And of course, we all wish good health to our good friend Mohmoud Abbas, Abu Mazen, who was so instrumental in achieving the Oslo agreement and later on in the interim agreement. Hopefully, he would lead the Palestinian delegation towards the permanent solution, and I believe that the permanent solution is around the corner. Just one sentence. We did not invent the wheel. It was so obvious that eventually there will be an agreement between people who live. It was so obvious that we are speaking about human beings, Jews and Arabs, Muslims, Christians. We did the most obvious thing in the world, and that is why it is always so strange that we are getting prizes and people praise our work and say how wonderful it was. I really think that the big mistake was that it did not happen much before. We could have saved so many souls, so many lives of young people and older people during these 50 years, 100 last years. And my big prayer is that we will be wise enough and strong enough against the extremists of both sides in order to continue and do the obvious. Thank you very much.
May I ask Bassem Eid to come forward? Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Aaron, I am just would like to thank you very much for awarding me this prestigious or a very prestigious award. I accept it on behalf of those whose suffering and pain have paved the way for my career. Human rights defenders being seen as troublemakers, embarrassing governments in the name of unrealistic idealism. So this award is a clear recognition that human rights defenders are taken into account as a positive contributors for democracy and state building. Thank you.
And may I ask Yitzhak Frankenthal to please join us.
Thank you, Sherry and Alan. Thank you, all of us. My dear Leah and Shimon. 1,700 185 days ago. I've lost my eldest son, Arik. Arik was killed only because there is no peace between us and the Palestinians. I decided to do my best to help the peace process between us and the Palestinians. I really don't know what I'm doing here. I'm sure the prize doesn't belong to me. It belongs to those all other people who are doing a wonderful work for the peace. I'm doing it only because I know that I got other children. I want them to stay alive. I know that the painful of the Palestinian is exactly like the painful of the Israelis. We both, the Palestinian father or the Israeli father, the Palestinian mother or the Israeli mother, we got the same pain. And therefore, I am doing and I will do all what I can do to help the peace. Thank you very much.
And may I ask Galia Golan to please join us.
Thank you, Alan and Sherry, Leah Rabin, Shimon Peres, Speaker Abu Allah. While some of you here were on the White House lawn and the famous handshake, others of us here, many people in this room, were in this room together, Palestinians and Israelis, as we watched on a giant screen here the handshake on the White House lawn. We broke open the champagne. And there were many tears and many, many cheers. And I haven't forgotten, and I don't think I ever will forget, the kind of joy that we felt. Palestinian peace activists, people who had worked together for many years, together and separately, to try to bring about that day. I'm very honored to receive this award, but I think it must be clear, and certainly I must clarify, that Shalom Achshav is what is getting this award today. Shalom Achshav is a collective effort. Shalom Achshav is a movement of thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of Israelis. And so too the women's peace movement, Bat Shalom, in which I've been active all these years. Shalom Achshav has been around for 21 years. And one would think that 21 years and we're still at it, that must indicate failure. But I don't think we have failed. I don't think we have failed. I think today we know that the vast majority of Israelis and the vast majority of Palestinians too are supporting the peace, favor the peace, and also favor both the Palestinian state next to the state of Israel, a two-state solution. I think we've come a long way. We have still another way to go. I believe now, finally, that we've had our elections and gotten rid of, I think, a very serious obstacle. We can get back on track, and we continue the work that was begun. And I think now we probably have only one last push, and we can make it. I'm absolutely confident that with our continued efforts, and we will need them, of both Palestinians and Israelis, people in this room and people outside, we are going to finally reach the peace that I think both peoples deserve. Thank you very much.
May I ask Faisal Husseini, please, to come forward.
Good evening, everyone here. Me as a citizen of this city, yet not a citizen of any state, but for sure I am a citizen of this city. City that I believe all of us love it. And all of us don't like to see it a divided city. Unfortunately, now Jerusalem is a divided city. We hope that we will continue our struggle for peace and for reaching to the moment that we together, those who struggle and fight each other for their own interest in Jerusalem, to come for a day that all of us, we will struggle and do everything for the interest of this city, Jerusalem. I have a dream that in a certain day, if I will stand here and say, Qudsuna, the Israeli side will understand the two letters na, me and them. And if an Israeli will say Yerushalayim Shilano, I will understand Lano means me and them, and everyone here will understand the word our Jerusalem, that all of us. I hope that we can implement such a dream, and in this case, Jerusalem can be the warm sun of the Middle East. Let us work for that and not let anyone create from Jerusalem the black hole of the Middle East, which can swallow everything, including the hopes for peace. Let us all join this dream and let us work for our Jerusalem. Thank you.
May I ask Terje Larsen and Mona Juul to please step forward.
Voilà, Leah, Shimon, dear friends. We are very grateful for receiving this award here today and very honored. But we're also very pleased to be here together with very good friends in this particular building, because this building was only a few years ago the epitome of the PLO seen with Israeli eyes. It was in many ways despised. Today, we are here together as friends. And I'd like to use this occasion to say that our humble participation in the Oslo process actually started here, together with Faisal and Yossi, in room 16 downstairs.
It was my film
It was 16, we'll discuss it afterwards. And I think that as of today, I think this room and this hotel may symbolize what has been achieved since Oslo started, namely that we are all here, those who came from Tunis, those who came from here, those who are from the Palestinian areas, those who are from Israel, that we are gathered here tonight as friends. Mona and I, we've been very grateful to play a small part in the process which has actually led us to this room. And we find this occasion also as an encouragement so as to continue together with the rest of the international community who is present here today, Egyptians, Americans, Europeans and others, and I think we will walk forward with you, the parties, in order to achieve a lasting and comprehensive peace. Thank you very much.
And may I ask Ahmed Qurie, Abu Allah.
Mr. Gleitsman, Mr. Shimon, Leah, Faisal, Abu Mazen, everybody, guests, thank you very much. It's really a great pleasure to stand before you today during this time mixed with emotions, hopes, and pains. At the moment, we are filled with hope for the continuation of the peace process and for its success. However, we are filled with pain from all the obstacles and stumbling blocks that it has suffered over the last 3 years, as policies including land confiscation, settlement building and expansion, and construction of bypass roads continue on occupied Palestinian land. I, above all, experience these feelings from my position as one of those who participated wholeheartedly in establishing peace and laying the foundations for coexistence and cooperation between the two peoples. It's also an honor to express my gratitude to the Gleitsman Foundation for having chosen me to be among the distinguished group being honored this evening. I highly value and regard with the greatest of esteem the excellent work of the Gleitsman Foundation and all the Palestinian, American, Israeli, and international organizations that work to realize a just and lasting peace in our region and in the world. Peace is a historical inevitability and will triumph against all odds and obstacles and difficulties. The right of people to security, stability, prosperity, and the full expression of their legitimate national rights, including their rights to self-determination, cannot and should not be refused nor vetoed. They will be achieved through the honest and comprehensive implementation of the signed agreement leading to a just and lasting peace that all we aspire to. Moreover, I am very pleased to congratulate all my colleagues this night. Dear friends, the greatest honor and the highest prize we could hope to obtain is peace, peace itself, and the fulfillment of the peace effort we have all worked so hard to achieve. I would now like to remember with the deepest appreciation and respect the brave leaders who took on the responsibility to negotiate and to decide and to take the right decision for peace, and who paved the way for its achievement. I highly appreciate the decision of President Arafat, the decision of late Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, and the former Prime Minister Shimon Peres. Moreover, I would also like to salute all the men and women from both sides who strove alongside them to resolve one of the 20th century's most difficult and complicated conflict. I have an optimistic view of the future and of the outcome of the peace process. However, we must work very hard and in a fair manner, allowing ourselves to be guided by the principles of international law as well as the signed agreements. The Israeli people have democratically chosen Prime Minister Barak, along with many new representatives in the Knesset, from amongst the same parties and the same people with whom we signed and negotiated the peace agreement, and with whom we worked as partners in the peace process, which is so essential to our future and to the future of our children. I hope that Mr. Barak and President Arafat and their colleagues will be able to give new life to this process which has been paralyzed for the past 3 years. We shall work with Prime Minister Barak and his colleagues as we worked with the late Prime Minister Rabin and former Prime Minister Peres and their colleagues to put the peace process back on track on the same principles and the same basis that it was founded on and on which it was meant to succeed. Our meeting this evening gains an added importance as it is being held in this city, in Jerusalem, city central to all three monotheistic faiths. We sense around us here the spirit of our prophets and their messages of peace and justice. They mingle with the spirits of our loved ones and comrades on this arduous road who dedicated their lives for justice and attainment of peace in this turbulent region. The spirits of these lovers of peace and its messages also surround us constantly, reminding us that the cause they sacrificed everything still requires additional efforts as well as continued to achieve peace in the land of peace. I salute you all, especially those who work for and who believe in the inevitability of a just and lasting peace, a peace to end occupation, to end enmity, to end war, and to guarantee security, stability, and prosperity for everyone. Thank you very much.
And may I ask Uri Savir, please, to step forward. Congratulations to you. Don't forget.
Mr. Gleitsman, I think I'd like, first of all, to pay my gratitude to you, both for the award, but bringing this Peace Club together. And I think we can commit to you more as a sign of gratitude to somebody like you and your foundation who have committed yourself for peace around the world, that this room and the people in this room, under our leaderships, will make peace again. Leah, Dalia, Shimon, my friend and partner and foe, Abu Allah, ambassadors, I think in the last 3 years, we've seen an effort, unfortunately in Israel, to put an end to the Oslo process, or to stop it. Those who will try to put an end to Oslo and to the peace process has put an end to them. And this is the lesson of the last 3 years. And as a result of 3 basic principles on which the peace process was really founded. First and foremost, on courage. Courage to see a different future. Courage to take unpopular decisions out of consensus. The courage that Shimon Peres had, that Yitzhak Rabin had, that Yasser Arafat had, that King Hussein, President Sadat, President Mubarak, his follower. It's a trust and creativity that exists in this room itself. Trust between people who found a deep common language. And maybe mostly, it's a deep sense of understanding something so banal as equality. Equality among men and women, and equality among people, equality between Arabs and Israelis, equality between Palestine and Israel. And all we need for the future is these 3 elements: courage, trust and creativity, and a deep belief in equality. And then the details won't matter. And therefore the magnifying glass maybe should be put and attached to people's hearts more than to people's eyes, and then will sooner rather than later make this great dream that all of our children deserve come true. Thank you very much.
I want to thank those kind words, and I don't know whether Uri Savir has noticed, I really have been auditioning tonight to become a member of the Blazers. I'd like to ask Stanley Sheinbaum to come forward.
American Jew to be a recipient of the Gleitsman Award, and it's very relevant for me. I have been watching Alan Gleitsman and Cheryl Roche these past 10 years and the work they are doing, and it is very, very important work. And it's around the world. It is not just in the Middle East. But as an American Jew who was bar mitzvahed Orthodox, but brought up on the west side, the upper west side of Manhattan, a very manicured, scrubbed area, I never really learned what Israel was all about. In fact, in the first years of the conflict, and I date that from the year 1948, the day when Harry Truman blessed the state of Israel. It was hard as an American Jew, not living in a Jewish, really Jewish community, to understand what Israel was all about. But as time went on, I became increasingly concerned with the role Israel was playing in the Middle East, especially with the Palestinians and the Arab community. It was hard to understand. There were things being said and done that I was not proud of. And I felt there is something basically wrong. I live in a universe, as all of you do, where we are all individuals, we all have hopes and dreams and want to be part of something good. No matter how evil somebody appears or negative, there is still a part of all of us that want to be able to be proud of. Most of my recent life has been political. And what I have tried to do with my life, I was fortunately in a position to spend my time and energies this way. And I had my wife Betty sitting right over here, who was in constant support, was wherever I saw an opportunity to step in and get something moving, to change the course of things just a little. That is exactly what happened with me in 1988, when I was in Israel and in Palestine, and I even met with many members of the Intifada. And the thing that struck me about the youth of the Intifada was that they too were feeling a concern about some of the things that were going on in their name. I'm referring to terrorism. I began to have the belief that the youth of Palestine wanted to see better things for themselves and their country, and even for the Israelis. Almost immediately getting back in 1989, early 1989,
I got a call from Sten Andersson, the foreign minister of Sweden. He had been in Israel and in Palestine exactly when I had been, and came to the same conclusion. And he felt strongly, and would I be interested in helping to put together a group of American Jews, and there were 5 of us ultimately, who would meet with Chairman Arafat. This took place in Stockholm in late '88. The whole idea was to shift the focus of certain Palestinian practices, not all of them, from terrorism to life with the Israelis. And Yasser Arafat accepted the right, he asserted the right of Israel to exist in the Middle East, and he disavowed terrorism. There are still some doubts among some people, hardliners, who claim that he still engages and authorizes terrorism. I dispute that, but that's another argument not for here. The point is that where the opportunity exists, one must go after it. If you have any concern for fellow man, I can't for the life of me discern any difference between Faisal Husseini and Shimon Peres. We are all in the same universe. We have to make it together. And I am very proud to be standing here to receive this magnifying glass, and I hope I will look through it and see other things that I can do. Thank you very much.
As we look forward to the day when the work of our honorees and others helps to bring about a lasting peace in this region, we must also look back to those who will never see that day. It is clear that we would not reach that goal were it not for 3 individuals whose vision and courage enabled the cause of peace to leap forward rather than to wither and die. From 3 countries came 3 men, men who would negotiate, but who would not compromise their values. Anwar Sadat, Yitzhak Rabin, and King Hussein each devised his own vision of peace. They traveled uncharted paths in their search, and then their dreams converged. At times, they were powered only by their own courage. They lived with few certainties, except one, that their life might be at risk. They are the peacemakers, and to them we give our collective gratitude, for it is through their legacy that our honorees are able to make their way. To present the special posthumous award in honor of the essential contribution of Anwar Sadat, I have the honor of introducing one of the great statesmen of our century. A man whose vision continues to shape the history of Israel and the future of the Middle East. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shimon Peres.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gleitsman. As a judge, I want to repeat that we did a fair job. The recipients of the award are really due to have it. We are not responsible for the amount of the reward, but for the list of the recipients. And then when the date was fixed, we didn't know that we are going to have an election. I think our greatest reward really, or award, are the results of the elections, both for the Palestinians and for the Israelis to continue the job that on our part was started by the late Yitzhak Rabin, our former Prime Minister and my colleague, and by President Yasser Arafat, was a worthwhile partner to it. This is not an award for something that was already completed. It was accomplished, but not completed. And we still have a great way to go. But I am really very heartwarmed by this group to see so many people that spend a better time of their life quarreling, fighting, disagreeing, misbelieving, that we come together with a new hope and a new horizon. It is a worthwhile occasion. It is a message for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peres. Thank you, Mr. Ilan and Mrs. Shiri, Mrs. Leah Rabin, Mr. Abu Ala, all my friends, because I would like to mention everybody here, because everybody is my friend, and I want to mention everybody by his name. So excuse me to not mentioning everybody. Dear guests, it gives me great pleasure to be here tonight to receive the award in honor of late President Anwar Sadat. I am sure if he is looking from above right now, he will smile and he will say, I did it, please maintain the momentum which I began. Great men always take great decisions. Great decisions, it changes the course of the history. It changing the course of the history to the benefit of the people is the only worthy task for the great leaders. For sure, the change, everybody received it with happiness, everybody is happy, but I want to tell you the expectations are very high. I know that the road to peace is not full of flowers, it is planted with a lot of problems and obstacles, but with goodwill and patience and hard work, we can overcome all these problems. Despite all the challenges, which you do not exaggerate nor underestimate, there is bridges that could be crossed, bases for cooperation that could be built, guarantees for success that could be negotiated. We should be fully aware that the gulf between the various positions is neither narrow nor shallow. But let us all continue to work to achieve just, lasting, and comprehensive peace in our region, so that we may live together in peace and friendship, and our peoples and nations may enjoy security, stability, and prosperity. In the end, we are cousins, aren't we? Thank you.
And now to present the award in memory of the courage and the commitment of Yitzhak Rabin, I have the honor of again introducing to you Abu Allah.
Leah Rabin, Mr. Gleitsman, friends. The honoring of the late Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin on this occasion is an honor to a just and lasting peace. It's also an honor to all those who believe in peace in Israel who raised their voices in a shout of joy and a cry for peace in Rabin Square, in Tel Aviv, and elsewhere in Israel in the aftermath of the elections. I must admit, and allow me to say that, as one of those who knew Yitzhak Rabin, that he was a tough and decisive. But he was a courageous decision maker and with a broad vision, which led to the signing of the Declaration of Principles and other agreements. Combined with his great credibility, he was able to implement the signed agreements, and as did Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Peres. Needless to say that the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin was a great loss to all those who believe in peace, to the peace process, to the Israeli people, and to the Palestinian. He was a credible partner of peace, a leader who could deliver and did deliver. I am honored on this special evening to present this award in memory of Yitzhak Rabin to his wife, Leah Rabin. I would also like to salute Leah's unique courage as one of the most prominent voices urging for peace in Israel. She worked with boldness and integrity that deserves the utmost respect and appreciation. In honor of my great respect to the memory of Yitzhak Rabin, I salute all of those and who, like him, have faith in peace and who are working to achieve it. Thank you.
The lights. Mr. Gleitsman, Madame, Mr. Stanley Sheinbaum, Galia Shimon Peres, the Larsens, Mr. Ambassador Basyoni, Mr. Ambassador Rifai, Faisal Husseini, the son of Abu Mazen, I forgot your name, Abu Allah, my daughter Dalia, Uri Savir, Yossi Beilin, my dear friend Yitzhak Frankenthal, dear friends, the family of peace. On May 17th, as we were preparing for May 17th, just now, we were preparing for a long night, at the end of which we would know the results of the awaited results of the election campaign. I had a phone call saying the nightmare is over. The difference indicated 12 to 14%. That meant that the results were pretty clear. We won. Or, as Chaim Yavin, the television anchorman, announced at 10 o'clock, when the exit ballot results are announced, Israel wanted a change. My personal nightmare that started on November 4th, 1995, when Yitzhak, my husband, was murdered, and got another blow, my personal nightmare, got another blow when Labour Party lost the election later in 1996. And this then marked that not only did they kill Yitzhak, now they really murdered his road to peace, which together with Shimon Peres and all the others involved, they paved and structured the peace of the brave, as Yasser Arafat always says. Yes, a lot of courage. You all needed, they all needed to structure this road. Now the nightmare is over. But could this road really be murdered, destroyed forever? Could it have been destroyed and murdered forever during the past 3 years? Not really, since there was already a new reality in the Middle East, marked by the first moves of materializing the Oslo Agreement, and there was hope, so much hope. And this hope was translated into new togetherness, plans, and in all levels of daily life, education, environment, water problems, all that should have been the natural byproduct of the peace agreement and process, and somehow were continued, while the actual official peace process was on ice, or frozen on ice. The mood had changed from a mood of reconciliation, of respect and trust. Now we heard a different music: mistrust, disrespect, abuse. It seemed that the light at the end of the tunnel is now so far away. The tunnel getting always longer. And the hope, what happened to the hope? Were we going to give it up? No. We could not engage in this luxury. So the light was pale and the hope was distant, but never given up. We knew the day will come again when the wheels of the train of peace will start moving in the right direction. As there is no alternative way for all of us if we don't want more bloodshed, if we desire reconciliation, if we desire reconciliation, cooperation, and solutions to our conflicts, which we have to take the brave steps and let this train move to its final destination. The nightmare is over. A new dawn, renewed hopes. We now can look into the tunnel and see the light. President Chirac, I got many letters of congratulating me for the election of Mr. Barak. Among others, there was a cable from President Chirac, who has become a dear friend after the murder post-mort of Yitzhak, and he said, "Ma chère Leah, I congratulate you on the election of Ehud Barak, which I know will now continue in the road and the footsteps of your late husband, Prime Minister Yitzhak." So, on the note of hope and light and a new dawn, I thank you for this post-mortem award that I receive with humility and pride. Thank you.
I would like to thank Mrs. Rabin for all of her help in so many ways regarding this evening. And also, I was struck by her categorization of this room tonight, which is so true. This really is the family of peace. I think that's what you people are, and I congratulate you. And now, to present the award in honor of the memory of King Hussein, please welcome his friend, Stanley Sheinbaum.
When I was first informed of the Gleitsman Award tonight, I felt very honored and elated. At a somewhat later date, the Gleitsman Foundation contacted me and asked me to present the award posthumously to King Hussein of Jordan. The difference between my feelings in reaction to both those pronouncements were enormous. Doing this on behalf of King Hussein is an extremely important thing for me. I can't pretend that I got to know him well. I had known him for about 5 or 6 years. And in those 5 or 6 years, the character of the man always came through very clearly. And one of the interesting things about that is that I was getting that on something of a personal basis. And as he moved ahead in his last years, the world in general was responding similarly. This was a man of enormous intelligence, great courage, and a humanity that one hopes we could somehow transplant not only into all our leaders, but into ourselves. Speaking of his courage, from his deathbed at the hospital in Minnesota, in Rochester, Minnesota, the Mayo Clinic, knowing the jeopardy to his life, he went to the Y plantation and then to the White House. This was a terribly painful thing for him and a threatening thing for him. And as we all know, that threat came to pass. At the same time, he also, when he came back to Jordan on another trip after that, to attend to a critical problem of state matters, he visited the families of those Jordanian soldiers who had been killed. This was a man who would do that sort of thing, knowing that what he represented was that important to the people of his kingdom. The Hashemites are have a very impressive history. And his time and in the 46 years as the King of Jordan has been absolutely extraordinary. I am here to present the posthumous award of the Gleitsman Foundation to Ambassador Al-Rifai. Will you come forward, please?
Thank you, sir. A wise man once said, "Men make war, but great men make peace." It was 4 months ago yesterday that His late Majesty King Hussein passed away. But what live on and will always live on will be his legacy and his memory. His legacy basically is a commitment to a better future for all the peoples in this part of the world, to achieving a better future for all of us, to achieving peace. And it is in His Majesty's memory that I gratefully accept this award. Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we draw to a close, I would like to ask Shimon Peres if he would say a few words.
Thank you.
I must admit that I was so excited that I didn't realize that I'm handing over the award in the memory of President Sadat. And I felt that the evening will not be completed without me referring to him. I think that he was the first, the most courageous, the most dreamy, the most visionary person we could have had in the Middle East. I was very much impressed today seeing in the Time magazine that President Gerald Ford recommended Sadat as the greatest person of the last century. I mean, it's an American president. I happen to know President Sadat very well for a long time. He gave me a compliment. I was then the head of the opposition, and I know you are not opposition to the peace, you're the opposition to Mr. Begin, which he was right. But I must also compliment Mr. Begin. There was no need to be in opposition to Mr. Begin, but Mr. Begin was in the need of the opposition to create a majority in the parliament for peace, and we gladly did it. But I really believe that he was an outstanding leader. I think in his own way, he conquered the hearts of millions and millions of people. He used to say that 90% of the conflict is psychological. And from that point of view, he was greater than Freud. His psychology for peace was outstanding. And he said all the time, please, please, be more generous in your expressions. He doesn't know us. We can be generous in every way, but not in our expressions. And now he really created a new style. It is because of it that I asked to make these few words and tell the Egyptian ambassador how deep in our heart is the memory of the late President Sadat and our homage to Mrs. Sadat, as we have also a very high appreciation for the late Prime Minister Menachem Begin, who was a worthwhile partner to achieving this peace. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our program this evening, and I would just like to say, on behalf of Sherry Roche and myself, it truly is an honor to be in the room with activists like you. We thank you so much. You are the family of peace. Thank you.